A controversial visit has reopened old wounds and escalated already high tensions. U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan despite stern warnings from Beijing. Beijing's response was swift and intense, sanctioning Nancy Pelosi and holding its largest ever live-fire drills near Taiwan. But what's so contentious about Taiwan? Here's what you need to know about the China-Taiwan issue in a nutshell. Taiwan is a small island that lies off the southeastern coast of mainland China. The island has been inhabited and developed by Chinese people since ancient times. There is very little dispute about that. According to a white paper recently released by China, the earliest recorded reference to Chinese settlers in Taiwan goes all the way back to the 3rd century. Although the paper claims that China had administrative outposts to exercise jurisdiction over Taiwan from the 10th century, the general consensus is that it was 7 centuries later when China fully administered the island. In 1895, China lost the First Sino-Japanese War and temporarily gave up the island to Japan for about 50 years before taking it back in 1945 following Japan's defeat in World War II. But China was going through some rough times. Chinese nationalists led by Chiang Kai-shek and Chinese communists led by Mao Zedong were fighting a civil war. Eventually, in 1949, the communists emerged victorious and established the People's Republic of China, and the losing side retreated to Taiwan. And therein lies the rub. Brazenly or defiantly, Chiang Kai-shek and the Republic of China, or the ROC, now on a small island with a population of just a few million, refused to accept their defeat and claimed to be the legitimate government of all China with a population of several hundred million people. Even more surprisingly, the claim received backing from the US, and with its support, the ROC occupied the China seat at the UN. But not for long. Calls grew for the recognition of the PRC as the legitimate government, and in 1971, it won the seat. Then came a baffling U-turn by the US, something that, by the way, became a staple of its policy in the years to come. In 1972, Richard Nixon visited Beijing, the first American head of state to ever set foot on the Chinese mainland. He met with Mao Zedong and they issued the Shanghai Communique. In a nutshell, they agreed that it's in the interest of the two sides to normalize their relations. On the Taiwan question, China left nothing to chance. There is but one China and Taiwan is a province of it. There is one Chinese government and that is the PCR. No country should interfere in China's internal affairs and no separatist activity is tolerated. The US acknowledged that there is only one China and Taiwan is part of it, pledging to withdraw its forces from Taiwan. By 1979, the US had ended its formal diplomatic relations with Taiwan and normalized relations with China. Although the US dropped its rather absurd position on the island, it adopted an ambiguous strategy. Officially, it was doing diplomacy with China, and unofficially, it was making friends with Taiwan. In the same year, the US Congress enacted the Taiwan Relations Act, authorizing the continuation of relations between the people of the United States and the people of Taiwan, and more significantly, pledging to provide Taiwan with arms, among other things. So tensions never really let up, and Taiwan was a flashpoint. Washington became Taiwan's largest supplier of arms, sending billions of dollars worth of weapons and military equipment to the island in the years that followed. In 2017, the US dropped all pretense and broke the political precedent. Trump spoke directly with the Taiwanese leader over phone and later signed the Taiwan Travel Act into law. The act encourages visits between the US and Taiwan at all levels. During Trump, arms sales to the island reached their highest level of $10.72 billion. Escalation crosses party lines in the US, and so tensions further rose under Joe Biden, a Trump foe in name. He announced a shift in the US foreign policy to counter China.
We'll also take on directly the challenges posed by our prosperity, security, and democratic values by our most serious competitor, China.
And then recently, in a press conference in Tokyo, he said,
"You didn't want to get involved in the Ukraine conflict militarily for obvious reasons. Are you willing to get involved militarily to defend Taiwan if it comes to that?"
Yes.
You are.
That's the commitment we made.
Amidst all the U.S. flip-flop, Beijing has been unwavering in its one China policy. In its latest white paper, it says, peaceful reunification and one country, two systems are our basic principles for resolving the Taiwan question, and that Taiwan may continue its current social system and enjoy a high degree of autonomy in accordance with the law. The white paper was released following a trip to Taiwan by Pelosi, the highest-ranking U.S. official to have visited the island in 25 years. The visit, in early August amid the ongoing Ukraine conflict, is perplexing in and of itself. But a delegation of U.S. lawmakers arriving in Taiwan shortly after China concluded its largest-ever military exercise suggests that another major conflict might be just around the corner. And that's a wrap for this episode. We'll see you next time.